Good evening, Council. We're going to call our council meeting to order for Wednesday, December the 10th, 2025 at 7 p.m. Number 2 is our land acknowledgement. Penetanguishene respectfully acknowledges that we are on the traditional and treaty territory of the Anishinaabe people and their ancestors, now known as the Williams Treaties First Nations territory. This includes the Chippewa Tri-Council, comprised of Bosley First Nation, Rama First Nation, and the Georgina Island First Nation, Alderville, Curve Lake, Hiawatha, and the Mississaugas of Scugog Island First Nation, also on home of the Huron-Wendat, and more recently, the historic settlement of the Métis. Penetanguishene is now home to many Indigenous peoples. Penetanguishene is proud of its Indigenous name, and more importantly, that for thousands of years it has been and will continue to be an important homeland and gathering place for Indigenous people. We recognize that we are the stewards and caretakers of these lands and waters and are responsible to ensure that our Mother the Earth is here for future generations. Councillor DeRush, please.
Penetanguishene reconnaît avec respect que nous sommes situés sur le territoire traditionnel et le traité du peuple Anishinaabeg et de ses ancêtres, maintenant connu sous le nom du territoire des Premières Nations, visé par les traités Williams. Il s'agit du conseil tripartite des Chippewas composé de la Première Nation de Beau-Soleil, de la Première Nation de Rama et de la Première Nation de Georgina Island, de la Première Nation d'Alderville, de la Première Nation de Curve Lake et de la Première Nation de Hiawatha et de la Première Nation des Mississaugas de Scugog Island. De plus, Penetanguishene était jadis le lieu de résidence de Huron-Wendat et plus récemment d'un établissement métis historique. La ville héberge aujourd'hui de nombreux peuples autochtones. Penetanguishene est fière de son nom autochtone et le plus important, du fait que pendant des milliers d'années, elle était et continuera d'être un important territoire et lieu de rassemblement des peuples autochtones. Nous reconnaissons que nous sommes les intendants et gardiens de cette terre et de ses eaux et que nous sommes responsables de veiller à ce que notre mère, la terre, soit présente pour les générations à venir.
Thank you very much, Councillor DeRush. Council, have us rise, please, and Councillor Vadabunker, if you can guide us in the council commitment, please.
Thank you. Thank you, Your Worship. We are grateful for the many gifts which have been bestowed on Penetanguishene and its citizens, including the gifts of freedom, opportunity, and peace that we enjoy. May we be worthy custodians of all that has been entrusted to us. We ask that all in attendance and those that could not be here assist us in promoting good government. May our decisions as members of council be enlightened, and may we all be strengthened in our awareness of our duties and responsibilities. May we be granted the wisdom, knowledge, will, and understanding to preserve the good fortune of the town for the benefit of all and to make good laws and wise decisions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Vadabunker. Councillor Leroux, please.
Thank you, Worship. Engagement du Conseil pour la ville de Penetanguishene. Nous sommes reconnaissants des nombreuses grâces accordées à Penetanguishene et à ses citoyens dont la liberté, les possibilités et la paix dont nous jouissons. Que nous soyons des intendants dignes de tout ce qui nous a été confié. Nous demandons que toutes les personnes présentes et celles qui n'ont pas pu se présenter nous aident à promouvoir une bonne gouvernance, que nos décisions à titre de membres du Conseil soient éclairées et que nous soyons tous renforcés à prendre conscience de nos devoirs et responsabilités, que l'on nous accorde la sagesse, la connaissance, la volonté et la compréhension qui nous permettront de préserver la bonne fortune de la ville au bénéfice de tous, ainsi que de faire de bonnes lois et de prendre de sages décisions. Merci.
Thank you very much, Councillor Leroux. Madam Clerk, would you be able to help us out with the public service announcement, please? Oh, sorry. I believe it's on video. Sarah.
Hello, and welcome to this evening's council meeting. Before we start, just a few messages. For those that require the washrooms are located just outside of council chambers, to the right, down the hall. Town Hall is protected by a single source fire alarm system. Should the fire alarm activate, please exit the building through the rear doors or the side doors, make your way down to the parking lot closest to the church. In the event of a medical emergency, please dial 911. The address for Town Hall is number 10 Robert Street West in Penetanguishene. And I'd like to remind everyone that we have a public access defibrillator just outside of council chambers. I wish you a safe and good council meeting. Bonsoir et bienvenue à la ville de Penetanguishene et à la salle de conseil. Avant que nous commençons ce soir, une couple de messages. Si vous avez besoin de les chambres de bain sont situées juste à l'extérieur de la salle de conseil, au bout du corridor à votre droite. La salle de conseil est protégée d'un système d'alarme à feu de 1 stage. Si l'alarme à feu sonne, veuillez quitter la salle de conseil par les portes à l'arrière ou de côté et on se rejoint dans le stationnement près de l'église. En cas de problèmes médicaux, veuillez signaler le 911. L'adresse ici est le numéro 10 rue Robert-Ouest à Penetanguishene. Et je veux vous rappeler qu'il y a un défibrillateur public juste à l'extérieur de la caserne. Je vous souhaite une bonne soirée. Merci. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Sarah. Council, move on. The next item is the approval of the agenda. I have a motion reads that the agenda of the regular council meeting for December the 10th, 2025 be approved as presented. It's moved by the Deputy Mayor, seconded by Councillor Marchand. Comments or questions? Seeing none, we'll call for the vote. All in favor? And opposed? That is carried. Council, does anybody have a declaration of pecuniary interest tonight? Seeing none, we'll move on. Number 7 is open forum. Madam Clerk, is anyone registered for open forum this evening?
Thank you, Your Worship. There's no one registered for open forum this evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Sarah, is anyone online that wanted to talk to council during open forum?
Thank you, Your Worship. We have no one online this evening.
Thank you. Council, move on. Next item, statement by members. Councillor Roux, we'll start with you, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. November the 19th, I attended the town budget meeting. November 26th, attended the public meeting regarding Peel Street landscape design. December 3rd, I attended the town volunteer recognition dinner at the Penetanguishene Legion. December the 5th, I attended the town Christmas tree lighting at the town dock and festivities at the arena. December the 9th, I attended staff years of service presentation at Town Hall, and also on this December the 9th, I attended the Curling Club board meeting. Thank you, Your Worship.
Thank you, Councillor Roux. Councillor Marchand, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. Similar to Councillor Leroux, I attended a number of those events. In addition, on November 27th, I attended the First Light opening evening ceremonies. And we also had on December 3rd, the SSEA, we had a special board meeting regarding the Strategy Corp progress update as we're doing a review for the costing model and the current agreement that we have in place. So really good meeting, and we'll have some more feedback from that in the new year. And yeah, that's it for me.
Thank you, Councillor Marchand. Councillor Vadabunker, please.
Thank you, Worship. Similar to Councillor Leroux and Councillor Marchand, attended the Public Information Center dealing with the design for the Peel Street. I also participated in the Midland Santa Claus Parade on November 22nd. On December 1st, I attended the official opening of the new wash bay and sand dome up at the Public Works yard, along with a few other members of council. And on December 9th, I attended the staff years of service recognition ceremony as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Vadabunker. Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Your Worship. I think we're getting a bit of a theme coming down the table. I think I was at most of them or all of them. The only ones I think we missed was December 2nd. His Worship and myself dropped off a welcome gift to the Main Street Medical Building. They're all in and fired up with their new doctors and stuff, so it was great to see them. And other than that, I think all the other ones have been covered. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Councillor DeRush, please.
Thank you very much. I just have one thing to add for myself, and is I attended the Midland Penetanguishene Transit Committee meeting yesterday. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor DeRush. Councillor Waters.
November 14th, I was in Midland for the flag raising for Sally Ann, Salvation Army. Good event there. You'll see their bells and bringing their bells and having their kettles, and they do take tap and pay. So good cause to support. Trying to think what else I have on my list that hasn't already been said. The 24th, we had a library board meeting. The 26th, we did the Peel Street thing that was mentioned. also at the Wash Bay on the Sand Dome. And I think, oh, and after the Christmas tree lighting on the 5th of December, we went up to Captain Ken's to present them with their opening. And prior to that, I'd been at Foodland for their 10th anniversary. And I think that's it.
Thank you, Councillor Waters. COLs, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. Just a couple things for council and the public's awareness. As council is aware, we opened our Seniors Active Living Center in September. We targeted 200 memberships to be sold, and to date we're at 223, and which includes 17 in this month alone in December. So a tremendous good news story where the municipality and the province have collaborated with $55,000 in annual stable funding from the province. So kudos to Sherry and Mariah and Marla and the entire team. Another good news story, we had our digital sign installed this past Friday, December 5th at Robert Street West. Hopefully members of council have had an opportunity to see it. It looks amazing, and while it did take a little bit longer than we anticipated, I think the end result was worth the wait. So kudos to staff for making that happen. Last Wednesday, December 3rd, we had our volunteer appreciation, which has been noted, but just a tremendous event all around that wouldn't happen without extraordinary staff time and effort and energy that was put into that to make it extra special for our volunteers. And last but not least, I know it was mentioned, but yesterday we had our annual Years of Service drop-in celebration. We have a number of staff that are celebrating milestone years, and a great opportunity to show some recognition for them. And there'll be a little celebratory video later on this evening. Thank you, Your Worship.
Thank you, COLs. Madam Clerk.
Thank you, Your Worship. This past September, we had Megan McClellan transition from the bylaw department over to legislative services. So she is our legislative coordinator, and we're very happy to have her down in the department. And she's here tonight, this evening, to join us. So thank you, Megan, for being here.
Welcome, Megan. Thanks for being with us. Council, I won't repeat everything that you shared. I was at some and most of the events that you were at. I do want to highlight, I was at the National Day of Remembrance and Action for Violence Against Women hosted last week in Midland. And I want to bring her forward in the new year because we always talk about what's the action. I think we talked about this last year. I think it's astounding the violence that occurs, but we need to do more than language. If I just talk about Festival of Lights and some of the other events that went on, I just want to give an extra shout out to staff. I think, these events highlight the work that's done throughout the year. And Festival of Lights, you commented, Councillor, it was tremendous. The work up at the arena was tremendous. I've had nothing but positive feedback. So thank you to everyone that had a role to play in that. And Sherry, I know your department played a big role. If you can just pass on our extra appreciation, thanks for that. The only other thing I went to council was the Smile Cookie campaign was held in the last month, and I went on behalf of the Big Brothers Big Sisters to support their cookie drive at the Wabashine Tim Hortons at 6 o'clock in the morning. It was cold, but I was happy to support the cause. Funny thing was when my shift ended, Mayor Walker showed up, so we kind of did one of these, but I know he did support the cause as well. I also want to appreciate and applaud staff for the work on budget. We did tremendous work on the budget up till now. I do want to make a comment that if I came across cranky our last time, I didn't mean to be cranky. It was passion, but no disrespect to staff. I have tremendous kudos for everything that everyone does. So I'll leave it at that. All right, let's move on. Number 9, proclamations. I have a motion reads that the following proclamation have been given due consideration be approved. I have one for the Crime Stoppers month in January of 2026. Council, any comments or questions? Seeing none, I'll look for a mover, please. Councillor Waters, seconded by Deputy Mayor LaRose. Further comments or questions? Sorry. We'll call for the vote. All in favor? And opposed? That is carried. 10's our public meeting. We have none this evening. 11's delegations and presentations. This is what the CEO was mentioned a minute ago. It's regarding our recognition for years of service by staff. Council, we're going to show a video. I'm a little concerned, though, that Sarah put the video together. I think she can get picked up by Hollywood. So maybe we can mute it or something, Sarah, because this is tremendous work. And I'm worried about the Netflix takeover. They're going to come take you next. But over to you.
thriving community, there are people whose dedication quietly shapes the future. Today we honor those individuals, our long-serving staff, who have reached milestone years of service with the town of Penetanguishene. Their commitment is more than time spent. It's a reflection of passion, perseverance, and purpose. Whether in planning, finance, events, wastewater, or volunteer firefighting, each of these team members has played a vital role in building a stronger, more resilient town. Through collaboration and teamwork, they've helped bring our 20-year community-based strategic plan to life, supporting sustainable growth, enhancing public services, and fostering a vibrant, inclusive place to live. At the heart of this dedication is a shared belief in something greater, a spirit we call Team Penetanguishene. It's our internal mantra, a reminder that together we are more than departments and job titles. We are one team, united by a common purpose to serve our community with integrity, innovation, and care. Their efforts echo in every corner of our town, in the infrastructure we rely on, the events we celebrate, and the safety we cherish. To our dedicated staff, on behalf of council, your staff colleagues, and the community, thank you for your years of service, your unwavering commitment, and your belief in the future of Penetanguishene. You are the heart of our town, and your legacy continues to inspire us all. Here's to strong arms and big dreams at Team Penetanguishene, and to our beloved Toronto Blue Jays going all the way next year. Go team, go. As Maddie Stepanek once said, unity is strength. When there is teamwork and collaboration, wonderful things can be achieved. Today we celebrate that strength and the wonderful things you've helped us achieve together.
Awesome work. Thank you so much for pulling that together, Sarah, but for everybody in the team that makes Team Penetanguishene happen for your work throughout the year, I can't say thanks enough. I think we have a tremendous team doing great work every day. Celie, anything to add on the greatness that has already been shown in Sarah's Oscar-winning video?
Your Worship, I think you've said it quite well, but just from an administration lens, and just to kind of reiterate and support what Mayor Rawson has shared on behalf of council, from the perspective of administration, we have a tremendous team, and certainly, while we're recognizing a handful or more individuals in this video in this particular year, it really is the collective team that makes things happen, but we are proud every year when we have milestone years of service from our employees. I think it says a lot in terms of their dedication and commitment, and we're happy every year to do so. Thank you, Your Worship.
Thank you. Council, comments or questions? Okay, seeing none, we're going to move on. 12 is our adoption minutes not already confirmed. The motion reads the following: minutes of council meetings be confirmed and adopted as circulated. We have special council for November the 12th, 2025, and council for November 12th of 2025. I'll look for a mover, please. Move by the Deputy Mayor, second by Councillor Waters. Comments or questions? Seeing none, we'll call for the vote. All in favor? And opposed? That is carried. 13 is our consent agenda. We have nothing this evening. 14, matters for consideration. We have a couple items. The first one is regarding the 2026 budget, final draft. The motion reads partway through, council, but with or without amendments. So before I read the motion, I'm going to ask council if there's anything you wish to pull for further comment or discussion regarding the 2026 budget. Floor is open. Seeing none. Council, I think we have lots to celebrate with this year's budget. I want to emphasize and highlight COEs to you and the team. Thank you for the work that your team did putting this together. I know this journey started earlier in the year at the start of summer. So thank you to you and everybody on the team that had a role to play in this. Madam Treasurer, thank you so much for your work in putting this together. I think it's something, again, we'll have something to be proud of. And council, thank you. I think we did a great job together. We committed at the start of this journey of doing this as a council budget, no different than every other year. We were surprised, but not with strong mayor powers this year. And we said it's going to be the same way we always do things. So I think we did a great job together. So thank you for your work. Council, the motion reads that the 2026 budget, final draft report and related budget documents be received for discussion, and the staff amend the budgets as directed, and that the 2026 operating and capital budgets and the 2027 capital budget without amendments approved on December the 10th, 2025, be presented as the mayor's budget under the Strong Mayor Powers legislation. And further, that the council amendment period under the Strong Mayor Powers legislation be reduced to 0 days. And finally, that the mayor's 2026 operating capital budget and the 2027 capital budget as finalized on December the 10th, 2025, be therefore deemed approved. I'm going to look for a mover, please. Councillor Marchand, seconded by Councillor Roux. Further comments or questions? Seeing none, I'm going to call for the vote. All in favor? And opposed? And that is carried. We'll move on to our next item, Council, is 14B. It's regarding the Environmental Registry of the Ontario Post Consolidation Conservation Authorities. The motion reads that staff be directed to respond to the Environmental Registry of Ontario Post ERO-025-1257 with the comments identified in staff report PL 2025-42. I'm going to look for a mover, please. Councillor Marchand, seconded by Councillor Waters. Council, comments or questions? Seeing none, we're going to call for the vote. All in favor? And opposed? And that is carried. We're going to move on to presentation consideration of Committee of the Whole reports. This might be the first time this term that we didn't identify what the Committee of the Whole process is. And I know we all know, so we're just going to get into it if Council's okay with that. So the first one would be Transportation Environmental Services section. I'm going to ask Councillor Vadabunker, please.
Thank you, Worship. So I'll be providing the highlights of the November 12th Transportation Environmental Services section. We had one consent agenda item, and that was the quarterly update from the Midland Penetanguishene Transit Ridership Service. There were no matters for consideration. We had one additional referral to add to the existing 3 that were on the list. And that is a request to staff to consider options for road safety measures throughout the municipality, along with associated costs. So that was it. So it's moved by myself, seconded by the Deputy Mayor, that Council approve the recommendations from the November 12th Transportation Environmental Services section meeting.
Thank you very much, Councillor Vadabunker. Anybody wish to point anything for further comment or discussion? Seeing none, we'll call for the vote. All in favor? And opposed? And that is carried. Councillor Roux, please.
Thank you, Worship. On Committee of the Whole meeting of November 12th, 25, we had 2 items under the consent agenda. One was the Tourist Information Center 2025 summary, and second was the Museum Heritage Committee meeting minutes. And there was one item for consideration being St. Anne's agreement for an outdoor rink, and there were no future referred items. It was moved by myself and seconded by Deputy Mayor LaRose that the recommendations contained within the Committee of the Whole report related to the Recreation and Community Services section be approved.
Thank you very much, Councillor. Councillor, may I wish to point anything for further comment or discussion? Seeing none, we'll call for the vote. All in favor? And opposed? That is carried. Councillor Duresh, please.
Thank you very much. The Planning and Community Development Services section had 4 consent agenda items. The first was the Municipal Law Monthly Activity Report for September, and moving forward, the bylaw reports will be quarterly instead of monthly. The second was the Committee of Adjustment meeting minutes for August 25th. The third was the Planning and Community Development third quarter report. Lastly, Council received proposed building code amendments relating to development charge payment at occupancy. There was equally 4 matters for consideration. The first was the zoning bylaw amendment for 39 Point Street. It was recommended that the zoning bylaw amendment be approved and that a bylaw be brought forward to amend the town's comprehensive zoning bylaw. The second was the heritage alteration permit policy, and it was recommended that the policy be approved and that authority to consent to certain types of alterations be delegated to the Director of Planning and Community Development. The next matter was the short-term rental licensing program software update, and it was recommended that the proposed changes to the administration of the short-term rental licensing program be approved. And lastly, there was the downtown parking changes resulting from public consultation, and it was recommended that changes to parking restrictions on a portion of Main Street be implemented, and that staff report back on overnight and daytime parking permit programs. Only one item remains on the referrals, and that's options for future use at 161 Church Street. As the chair of the Planning and Community Development Services section, I move the motion, seconded by Vice Chair Bill Waters, that the recommendations contained within the Committee of the Whole report related to this section be approved.
Thank you very much, Councillor Rush. Anybody wish to put anything for the comment or discussion? Seeing none, we'll call for the vote. All in favor? And opposed? And that is carried. Councillor Mershon, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. For Finance and Corporate Services, we had 3 items on the consent agenda. The first one was a memo from the CAO regarding the Community Safety and Policing Grant for 2025-26. The second item was the 2025 Q3 financial summary, and the third item was the 2026 Development Charge Annual Indexing. Under matters for consideration, we had 5 items. The first one was authorizing the temporary borrowing of funds to meet current expenditures. The second was the 2026 fees and charges bylaw update. The third item was the 2026 interim property tax levy. The fourth item was heads and beds payments in lieu of taxes, was the outlined strategy. And finally was the last item was the false alarm bylaw update. Under referral items, we currently have nothing. There was nothing added, nothing removed, and there's nothing forthcoming. So I move as the chair, seconded by Councillor Waters, that the recommendation contained with the Committee of the Whole report related to the Finance and Corporate Services section be approved.
Thank you very much, Councillor Mershon. Anybody wish to put anything for further comment or discussion? Seeing none, we'll call for the vote. All in favor? And opposed? That is carried. All right, Council, we're going to move on to 16, our presentation, consideration, and report for special committees. We have one for Special Committee of the Whole for November the 19th, 2025, minutes from that budget. Anybody have any comments or questions? Madam Clerk, I assume this is just receiving for information.
Apologies, Your Worship. There is a motion that the recommendations contained within the Special Committee of the Whole report related to Finance and Corporate Services section be approved.
Thank you. It's moved by Councillor Roux, seconded by Councillor DeRush. For the comments or questions? Seeing none, we'll call for the vote. All in favor? And opposed? That is carried. Council, moving on to number 17's motion, of which notice have been previously given. We have none. 18's notice of motion. A little background. Last month, during our statement from members, I mentioned, and I believe so did Councillor Marchand, that we participated in a community leadership discussion with Georgian Bay General Hospital. It was a great meeting where they met with, they opened up to members of the councils that they serve. And it was really about funding disparities and the challenges that GBGH is facing serving the public. And the work that they're doing to advocate to the ministry for capital, but also that they're running above 100%. They're running about 113 to 120% occupancy every day. And they have beds available that they could serve more people, but they need more operational dollars to meet that. And during that discussion, many of us asked how we could further help Georgian Bay General. After that time, I'm going to ask CEO and Madam Clerk. They did reach out to the hospital and have some dialogue. And we asked how we municipalities could help support. And they've really asked that we could help support with advocacy with the ministry. So together we worked on a motion that's before us tonight, and it's really about how we can help support GBGH on their efforts on the funding. So that's what this motion is before us tonight, Council. I'll read in a moment, but I'll just see if there's any further comments or questions about this on behalf of Council. Councillor Vadabunker.
Thank you, Worship. Thanks for the explanation. I was curious how this ended up on our agenda. My question has to do with 113 beds. Is that a provincially approved allocation that GBGH receives?
Yeah, it's their funding allocations. And again, they're running, depending on seasonality and what's going on, they're saying they're running 113% above occupancy, up to 130% occupancy at times. So what they're funded for, they're always at max and usually more than max. And you know, there's two things that they're really talking about is operational dollars today, but there's operational and capital dollars to move forward. And if I look at a different lens, in the last month when the County of Simcoe met, we found out that the funding allocation that the county receives for offload nursing dollars. So when an ambulance arrives at a local hospital, they have dedicated staffing to help offload that patient off of the paramedic crew to get the paramedic crew back in service. The amount of funding now that's going to go to our local hospitals is less. And I know when we were at the hospital, Councillor Marshall could probably confirm, when we're there, they were stating that disparity in funding is going to further have an impact on staffing and how they're going to be able to help clients. So we're doing some work at the county on that part, but there's so many challenges that's happening from the regional hospital approach. That's just not that one prong. And we said, we don't have the millions of dollars that we can help, but if we could help from advocacy, whether it was AMO delegations, whether it's things like this, we're happy to do that. And we want to do that in conjunction with our partners. Hopefully that helps. Any other comments or questions? Okay. So the motion reads, whereas Georgian Bay General Hospital is currently funded for 113 inpatient beds, a capacity has been consistently exceeded due to significant and ongoing patient surges. And whereas in February 2025, GBGH operated at over 160% capacity, and in the preceding year, the hospital experienced occupancy rates exceeding 100% on at least 95% of its operating days. And whereas these sustained surges have resulted in increased strain on the emergency department, prolonged wait times, and instances of patient care being delivered in hallways compromising patient safety and dignity. And whereas the current funding model does not adequately reflect the true demand for hospital services in a rapidly growing region, placing additional pressure on healthcare staff, resources, and the quality of patient care. And whereas an investment in additional funding would enable GBGH to alleviate emergency department congestion, reduce the frequency of hallway patient care, and support the hospital's surgical program, thereby improving access to timely and effective health care for all residents. And whereas both surge and base funding are critical to ensuring that GBGH can respond to immediate patient needs while planning for sustained growth and equitable healthcare delivery in the years ahead. Therefore, be it resolved that the Council of the Town of Penetanguishene urges the Government of Ontario to consider increased funding to Georgian Bay General Hospital, ensuring the hospital can meet current and future patient demands, and encourages neighboring municipalities and regional partners to join in advocating for enhanced funding for GBGH, recognizing the shared responsibility in supporting accessible and high-quality health care for all residents of our region. Be it resolved that copies of this resolution be forwarded to the Premier of Ontario, the Minister of Health, the Member of Provincial Parliament for Simcoe North, the municipalities along with Township of Severn, Springwater, Georgian Bay, Bosley First Nation, and Georgian Bay General Hospital for their information and support. I'm going to look for a mover, Councillor Leroux, and seconded by Councillor Marchand. Further comments? Councillor Vadabunker.
Just a point of order. I support the motion, but my understanding from a procedural standpoint is we introduce the notice of motion tonight, and then we actually vote on the motion at our next meeting. Is that correct?
I'm going to ask Madam Clerk, my understanding from our procedure bylaw, if we introduce it tonight on the fly, then yes. But if it was published with the agenda package and notice was given, that we could vote on it tonight. But I'm going to ask Madam Clerk for clarity for that. If not, we could always waive the rules. Madam Clerk.
That's accurate. If council wishes to pass the motion this evening and waive the rules, then that can happen. Otherwise, yes, it would be in January where you have to wait, and there's that 1 month wait period in between. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Vadabunker. Councillor Wassiu, I'm happy to move this in January if you want to bring that up then, or we can waive the rules tonight and have it open tonight.
Is there any urgency?
There's no urgency.
I'd rather do it tonight, personally.
Okay. So we have a motion, but we'll have to put a motion to waive the rules then. Madam Clerk, can you just help me with that?
Thank you, Worship. It can be as simple as that council waive the rules based on procedural bylaw 2023-50 in order to pass the motion regarding notice for GBGH funding.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. That's the motion. It's moved by Councillor Vadabunker, seconded by Councillor Marchand. On the motion to waive the rules, comments? Seeing none, we'll call for the vote. All in favor? And opposed? That is carried. Again, thank you, Councillor Vadabunker. With council's leave, I'm not going to reread the motion, but 18A, the notice of motion regarding Georgian Bay General Hospital, will be the motion now we'll bring forward. It's moved by Councillor Leroux, seconded by Councillor Marchand. Further comments or questions on this GBGH motion? Seeing none, we'll call for the vote. All in favor? And opposed? And that is carried. Again, thank you, Councillor Vadabonker. Appreciate that. We're going to move on to number 19's considerations of the bylaws. Before I read them, Council, I'll have a statement, but bylaw 19A, bylaw 2025-48, the false alarm policy. I'm going to ask that we defer that to next council meeting. We've had some discussion and members of public have come forward with some concerns. Madam Clerk's aware of that, and the staff have asked that we defer that and they come back in January with a revised version for that. If you have any further comments, happy to address, but I believe that's kind of the path we're looking at. So everyone okay with that? Yeah, Madam Clerk, do you need a motion to defer 19A?
Not a motion, simply if it's removed from the listing that's currently there, then that will suffice.
Thank you. Is everyone okay with that? Okay, Council. As per the strong mayor legislation passed by the province of Ontario on May the 1st, 2025, I, Mayor Doug Rawson, hereby decide to not exercise the power to veto the following bylaws passed at the Town of Penetanguishene Council meeting on December the 10th, 2025, in accordance with subsection 284, 11(4)(a)(1) of the Municipal Act. So Council, before I read the remaining bylaws, so I'm looking at bylaws 19B through F. Does anybody wish to have any of them pulled for further comment or discussion before I read the motion? Okay, so the motion reads that the Council of the Town of Penetanguishene introduce the following bylaws. Bylaw 2025-49 being the fees and charges for 2026 bylaw. Bylaw 2025-50 being a bylaw to provide for a 2026 interim tax levy. Bylaw 2025-51 being a bylaw to authorize the temporary borrowing of funds. Bylaw 2025-52 being a bylaw for zoning bylaw amendment for 39 Point Street. And bylaw 2025-53 regarding an outdoor ice rink agreement with Roman Catholic, as I can never say that, corporation. And that the bylaws be read a first time and deemed to read a second and a third time and carry. I'm going to look for a mover, please. Moved by Councillor Waters and seconded by Councillor Vadabonker. Further comments or questions? Seeing none, we're going to call for the vote. All in favor? And opposed? That is carried. Number 20, County Simcoe update. Deputy Mayor, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. Back in November the 25th, we had our last meeting of the year. We had an extensive presentation called Building Up Simcoe County, and it lays out the blueprint for the 2025 to 2035 years concerning affordable housing and homeless prevention. The plan also builds on the success over the last decade and gives us what lies ahead, obviously, for the next 10 years. So they produced this little book, and inside it is some very interesting information, and I'll just do one, Your Worship. 2014, the county has applied 32 units countywide. By the time we got to 2024, so the first 10 years up, we're at 3,692. So the plan in here that they show us for the next 10 years is quite extensive, and it was a very good presentation, and it's nice to see that it worked for the last 10 years, and we're really proud and think that it will work for the next 10. The only other thing we did of significance on the 25th was pass our budget. So we passed a budget with a 3.2, I believe, now we are ready for the new year. So that will do it, Your Worship.
Thank you very much, Deputy Mayor. If I can just pick up on your comment about the building up, the new program really talks about some growth opportunities based on the province and the federal government coming to the table. And the county really said, this is what we can do with our current funding. Here's what we could do if the province comes, and here's what we can do if the federal government comes. And Council, I also want to highlight, during budget, we did have a delegation regarding housing and housing opportunities in our local area. Madam Clerk has reached out to the County of Simcoe, and the County of Simcoe's housing team will be here delegating to Council in February or March? In March. So perhaps check out the Building Up program, and I think you'll be impressed by what they're doing, and we look forward to learning more and understanding how that relationship helps the community. And I want to thank you, Madam Clerk, for arranging the county to be here for that. Councillor, we're going to move on to number 21, announcements and inquiries. Councillor Rue, we always start with you, but tonight we're starting with Councillor Marchand. I'm sorry. We're going to change the order tonight. We will start with Councillor Marchand. We will get to you.
I'll give it in.
I don't think you were given a choice. Thank you, Your Worship. It is certainly, thank you very much for giving me the opportunity as the Chair of Finance and Corporate Services, and on behalf of myself and Councillor Waters as the Vice Chair. I'm pleased that the budget has been adopted this evening. The 2026 operating budget of $16.8 million, the 2026 capital budget of $8.9 million, and the 2027 capital budget of $6.8 million for a total of $32 million. $32.5 million. The town's annual budget process included participation from council, staff, and the community. Input was gathered from the public, council, and management through the town's online budget survey, 2 budget public consultation, and 2 public special committees of the whole budget meetings. The 2026 budget results in an operating increase of 2.41% of capital investment increase, of 1.16%, and a 0% increase for policing, as the town's policing stabilization reserve was used to reduce the financial impact on residents in 2026. The overall tax bill impact is 3.22% or $52.64 per 100,000 of typical residential assessment for municipal, county, and educational property taxes. The annual budget represents months of collaboration, analysis, and careful consideration to ensure that the town's financial plan aligns with the priorities of our community while maintaining fiscal responsibility. I'm excited to move forward with council on the 2026 priorities as we've identified. In closing, I would like to thank our residents who provided input, council, staff, Jeff Lees, Chief Administrative Officer, Carrie Rebyard, our Director of Finance and Treasurer, and the entire management team for their commitment and hard work during the annual budget process. Thank you very much to everyone.
Good. Councillor Marchand, thank you, and thank you for navigating the process. I think it was well done. I appreciate you leading that process, and I think we came out with a great municipal budget. I also want to highlight, at county, we've been talking about budget, and a lot of people are coming in wanting a 0% budget this year, and I think we did a responsible thing. Councillor Vadebonker, I remember earlier this year, you asked for a 1% capital levy, that we look at doing that. I think we can hold our heads high. Like we increased some staffing, we increased a lot of pressures, and I think we've accommodated, but we also were responsible for setting up the community for success. Councillor Marshall, thank you so much for doing that. I'll also highlight Seal Lees. Thank you to you and the team again. If you can pass on our appreciation, we do appreciate that. I do have a question though. When we went through the budget process, Council, you might recall we talked about our OPP policing costs, and we did not know what the policing costs were going to be. And we did receive word from the Solicitor General earlier this year that policing costs are going to be capped at 11%. So Madam Treasurer brought forward a budget at 11%. We did just receive our OPP costing. I'm going to ask Madam Treasurer, could you just update the public and council, what did that look like and how we're going to move forward with what the costing came in with?
Certainly, Mayor Russin. So we did just receive the 2026 billing statement from the OPP. And the heads up that we had previously gotten was that they were going to cap it at 11%. That is the number that we used in our 2026 budget, was based on 2025 billing capped at an 11% increase. That's actually what the 2026 billing statement did come in at. But they did, so that would be the $2,183,730 is what we will be invoiced for in 2026, and that is included in our budget. So there's no financial impact moving forward by getting the OPP billing statement later than our budget process. They were transparent to show us exactly what our 2026 calculation would have been. There is a memo that has been prepared that council will see in January. But just briefly to let you know that it was slightly over $2.4 million that they calculated, which included $185,000 year-end reconciliation for 2024. As you know, they reconciled 2 years later. So because of the cap, the 11% cap, there was about a $240,000 reduction that we were not billed. Again, that'll be in writing and in front of you on the January Committee of the Whole agenda.
Thank you, Madam Treasurer. I appreciate you. I know it came in the 11th hour. I appreciate you sharing that with Council. Council, I appreciate that information. And thank you again for navigating the process, Madam Treasurer, and working our way through that and your expertise. And to you and your team, thank you for doing a flawless execution of that this year. Councillor Roux, announcements and inquiries. Do you have any this evening?
I have a couple, Your Worship. One is Fun with Santa at the Penetanguishene Centennial Museum this coming Saturday, December 13th from 9:30 a.m. to 12 p.m. That is a visit with Mr. and Mrs. Claus, a scavenger hunt, a decorated cookie, and get a craft bag. The registration is required and it's $6 per child, and as of today, there are still a few spots available. And the other announcement, as Chair of Recreation Community Service, I just want to take this opportunity to recognize today that we had a longtime employee who has left our employ, and I just want to congratulate and wish her all the best in her future endeavors and thank her for her 24 and a half years of service to the community and the town, and that's Angèle Proulx.
Thank you very much, Councillor Roux. Any other members have any announcements or inquiries? Councillor Vadabunker, please. Councillor Roux? Councillor, you might grab it.
No, I'm good.
Thank you, Worship. I just wanted to mention a couple of things about the budget. First, it may not fall specifically under this this heading, but I want to echo some of the comments that were made. I found the budget process was very good again this year. I think the tax rate increase is a reasonable tax rate increase. When we went through the budget in detail, I think the capital program is really reflective of our strategic priorities that we've outlined, and it really addresses a lot of the core functions of the municipality. So I would urge the public who may be interested to have a look at the budget. It'll be posted, I assume, on our website, and it's chock full of information, but it was well done, as you've pointed out. So I wanted to make that comment. I also wanted to commend the clerk. I mentioned this to her the other day, but I did notice that the public information sign was up, as the CAO had mentioned, and it looks fabulous. It's down on Robert Street West, and you know, the font is a great size. It's really noticeable from whether you're traveling east and west. And I just wanted to thank the clerk for seeing that sign through. I understand it took much longer than you had hoped, but it's there now. And as I said, we can now move on to sign number 2. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Vadabunker. Any other members, announcements or inquiries? Okay, I have one. I want to thank everyone for their work this year. I hope everyone has a safe and happy holiday season. All the best into 2026. Enjoy time with family, friends, loved ones. If you can support our local business community, please do. If you can support any local not-for-profits, any charities, anybody that can get a hand up, we would appreciate that. COLEs, to you and the entire team, thank you for the work throughout the year. We cap it off with the budget, but there's so many celebrations that we celebrated throughout the year. I think tonight with the years of service video, I think with the budget confirmation is just a testament to the work throughout the year to get us here. But please pass on our appreciation. Thanks to staff for yet again, another great year. I look forward to 2026. Council, we're going to move on to our confirmation bylaw. That the confirmation bylaw 2025-54 will be signed and sealed by the mayor and clerk. Moved by Councillor Waters, seconded by Councillor DeRush. Call for the vote. All in favor? And opposed? That's carried. Council, we're going to look to adjourn at 7:48 p.m. It's moved by Councillor Leroux and seconded by Councillor Vadabunker. All in favor? And we're adjourned. Sarah, do you need 5 minutes for a tape? Are you ready to roll? Council, are we good to go? All right, let's move. Agenda. I have a motion reads the committee of the whole agenda for December the 10th, 2025 be approved as presented. Moved by Deputy Mayor, seconded by Councillor Waters. Comments or questions? Seeing none, we'll call for the vote. All in favor? And opposed? That's carried. Council, anyone have a declaration of pecuniary interest tonight? Seeing none, we'll move on delegations and presentations. We have none. 5 is our council information package. Council, does anybody have anything on the council information package you wish to put for a comment or question? Councillor Mershaw.
Yeah, just a comment on the November 19th package, the Q3 infograph for SSEA.
Floor is yours.
Great, thank you. As the chair of SSEA, who represents the town of Penetanguishene, I just wanted to draw council's attention and also the public to the Q3 information graph from the SSEA. They've done a lot of work to refine and streamline information that comes to all of our councils, just to really reiterate the amount of work that it gets done by our great partners in supporting our watershed and really the environmental work. But it's really important that we just take a minute to really look at all of the great things that they do. As I did highlight at the last council meeting, this group secured just under $500,000 in grants last year alone, and already have secured $125,000 going into this next year. So this is a group that is very conscious and doing really great work, and we're very fortunate to have the SSEA taking care of our watershed and being a really great partner from an environmental perspective as well. So just really wanted to highlight that great work.
Thank you very much, Councillor Marshall. Councillor Vedabunker.
Thank you. Thank you, Worship. I'd like to speak to 2 items. One is on the November 19th council information package. The other is on the December 1st. The November 19th, I'd just like to comment that the Electra 2027 to 2031 strategic priorities is listed on that. And as you may recall, members of council, representatives from Electra were here a couple of meetings back and talked about their priorities. And it's a very interesting document. I know that there was lots of public input that went into that creation of those priorities, and hopefully it'll find a place where the public can have a look at it on a regular basis. So that is the first item. On the December 1st agenda, there's a letter from the Ontario Lottery and Gaming Commission dealing with charitable gaming at Delta Gaming and Bingo in Penetanguishene. And there's some interesting information in there, and one of the things that caught my attention was that since 2012, $11 million has been raised for over 60 charitable groups, and so that's a significant amount of money over 13 years, and it doesn't go without a lot of work from our staff, and I wanted to compliment our staff because I know that bingo reports and reports have to be submitted and our staff have to stay on top of that, and it is labor intensive, and I know that our staff stay on top of it. So I just wanted to comment on that and then compliment our staff for the work well done. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Vedabunker. Councillor, anybody have anything else in the council information package that you'd like to pull for further comment or discussion? Seeing none, I have a couple I'd just like to highlight. First, I just want to comment, Madam Clerk, I really appreciate the CIPs. I talk about them often. I share the information. I like the way it's laid out and it's easily accessible for everyone. If I look at the November 19th council, you'll see on the 19th the internal correspondence. So, for example, we've attached copies of resolutions that our council has previously discussed and advocated. So we have on there a resolution regarding the ZEV mandate that we talked about a little while ago. I just appreciate that from Close the Loop and community dialogue. So thank you for that. We also, on 1C, we talked about our Elect and Respect campaign and supporting the AMO motion. So that's on that CIP again. Thanks, Madam Clerk, for including that. The other one I'd like to talk about is the OCIF funding. Madam Treasurer identified the OCIF during our budget process. We've done a good job as a municipality looking for infrastructure dollars. We know we've received some funding this year for a number of projects, but we've also seen that our OCIF has had some diminishing amount that we're getting every year. There has been some discussion going around some municipalities about advocating to the ministry, saying that we need the OCIF funding. Like, our communities rely on this OCIF funding, and we really need to keep pace with that. There is a resolution there, 4A, Township of Edwardsburg Cardinal Resolution regarding Ontario Community Infrastructure Fund. Madam Clerk, we've used those in the past, basically used that motion and had council support that. Council, I'd like our community to support what's going on about there, and we're really advocating to the government. We need to make sure that our OCF funding keeps pace. We can't see the amount decreasing every year. That needs to stay and increase every year. That's what that motion on 4A is about, is supporting that. I'd like to bring that forward. Madam Clerk, just remind me how we did that in the past.
Thank you, Your Worship. Should council support this motion, it wouldn't be until approval is provided through council at the next January meeting. And then following that, staff will send a resolution as approved, and we'll follow back up on the following CIP with that resolution.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. That was my comments on the CIP, Council. Again, on the November 19th, there's a couple there. 4A's Township of Edwardsburg Cardinal. There's another one from Township of Prescott, also talking about the Ontario Community Infrastructure Fund, if Council would entertain that. Is there anybody on the floor who'd like to move that? Deputy Mayor? Councillor Marchand. Madam Clerk, remind me from the past, did we just say we're going to support the OCIF and you'll bring that forward next month? We don't need to read the whole motion, just what was on 4A?
That's correct.
Thank you. So I have a mover and a seconder. Further comments or questions on that? Seeing none, we'll call for the vote. All in favor? And opposed? And that is carried. Council, anybody else have any other comments on the CIP? Motion reads that the council information package have been given due consideration, be received for information. It's moved by Councillor Marchand, seconded by Councillor Vadabonker. Further comments or questions? Seeing none, we'll call for the vote. All in favor? And opposed? That is carried. 6, Section A, Transportation Environmental Services section. I'm going to turn the chair to Councillor Vadabonker, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. There are no consent items to consider tonight. There's no matters for consideration tonight. We have the 3 referral items listed on your agenda. We have the septage disposal and treatment matter. We have the level of service policy pertaining to pothole repairs. And then we have the new one, the traffic calming measures, is introduced at our last meeting. At the section meeting earlier this week, we advised that the level of service policy will be coming forward in February. So that concludes that. Are there any additional referral items that anybody wants to bring forward? Seeing none, I'll read the motion that the Transportation Environmental Services section endorse the following existing referrals to upcoming agendas and staff. And I've already read them out, so I'll look for a mover. Deputy Mayor, seconder, Councillor Waters. Any further comment? All those in favor? Any opposed? Seeing none, the motion carries. Any questions from the media? None? For the public? Thank you. Your Worship, I'll turn it back to you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Vadabonker. And we're on to 7, Section B, Recreation Community Services. I'm going to turn the chair to Councillor LaRue, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. Under the section of Recreation Community Service on a consent agenda, we have 4 items, and they are 1, Bayside Summer Soiree Post Event Report, 2, the memo from the curator and museum supervisor on an update on museum resurface capital project, C, the Museum and Heritage Advisory Committee minutes, and D, memo from the Director of Recreation and Community Services in regards to the Parks and Trails Strategy update. Does anyone wish to comment or pull any of these, Your Worship?
I don't want to pull for further dialogue, but I just want to comment 7A Bayside Summer Soiree. This event is a signature event. Like I probably made half of them this summer. I can't believe the number of, like, how busy and packed the park is, number 1. How well the staff does executing that, it's phenomenal. But the number of people that were walking through the park and they heard music and said, do you know what's going on? Yeah. It's attracting so many people. I think it's tremendous what's happening there. I think it's a signature event that people are getting to. Thank you.
Thank you, Worship. As a matter of fact, I was going to comment on that myself because I think I missed one this past summer, and they are tremendous, and the crowds are fabulous. So it is a bonus to the town, and we have to thank our recreation department for a job well done on the Friday night soirees. So, Marchand?
I was also going to comment on it, but I also just commend staff for it. But I think it's really great to see partnerships like the Lions Club doing the barbecue when people know they can go down and have something to eat and then get engaged. I love it when we do see collaboration like this happen, and it's really great to see. And the youth night was really well received. And again, really great work with that and having those themes. So it is a signature event and it's great to see. But again, just really want to highlight that community partnership is really great to see. So well done.
Thank you. So if there's nothing further, I will call for the vote that the following consent agenda items, having been given due consideration, be received for information. A mover, Deputy Mayor and Mayor Rawson, seconder, all in favor. Thank you. Moving on to matters for consideration, we have two, and the first one is the non-resident user fee study. That a follow-up report be brought to Committee of the Whole on recommendations for a non-resident user fee study and associated budgetary needs following the completion of recreation planning exercises being completed by the towns of Penetanguishene and Midland. Does anyone have any comments, concerns, Your Worship?
Thank you. I'll support the motion, but I just have a question for our director, if I can. I appreciate that we did this in partnership and collaboration with the town of Midland, and I know we aren't executing the reason why. But I'm wondering why right now we're saying let's wait and do it once the rec master plans are done with Midland and Penetanguishene. My question is, we're doing our rec master plan now with Monteith. Is it possible that we could say to them, hey, could you look at adding this user fee and tack it onto our existing rec master plan? I think some of the things we are looking at and considering might not conform to what Midland's looking to do. And I think we might have two different strategies, two different ideas, two different assets. And I'm just concerned that if we couple this with Midland, that we might delay what we want to do. And I think it might not be one size fits all. So I'm just wondering some thought around that, maybe some consideration.
Thank you, Your Worship. Anyone have any other further comments or concerns? And Madam Director, could you perhaps give a response to the Mayor on that matter?
Thank you. Through you, Councillor Leroux, to Your Worship. Staff did have that conversation with Monteith Brown, currently doing our study. It's not a line of work that they currently do, so it's not something that we could extend. They did provide some referrals of consultants that do that kind of work, which is how we got the quotes for this. In the conversations with Monteith Brown, that it was strongly recommended that a collaborative approach be considered, as many of the groups utilizing the same facilities are the same groups within the town. And I suggest we wait till the outcome of the strategy for complete response to that.
Okay, and I have read the motion, so a mover and a seconder. Deputy Mayor and Councillor Marchand, all in favor? That's carried. Moving on to the next, it's WHO age-friendly designation, and attention one, the Mayor commitment letter. Whereas the town of Penetanguishene has an age-friendly community plan, and whereas the town's community strategic plan endorses advancement of age-friendly planning, and whereas the town's Wellness and Accessibility Committee is recommending that the town apply for designation with the World Health Organization Global Network for Age-Friendly Cities and Communities. Now therefore be it resolved that the town apply for designation with the World Health Organization Global Network for Age-Friendly Cities and Communities, and that the Mayor provide a letter of commitment on behalf of the town for the application process. Comments, concerns? There being none, mover, Deputy Mayor, and Councillor DeRush, all in favor. And that is carried. Thank you. Moving on to referrals to upcoming agenda staff, we only have the one, and that is the Truth and Reconciliation framework to honor and celebrate. And that is moved that the Recreation Community Service section endorsed the following additional and existing referrals to upcoming agendas and staff. Does anyone have any that they wish to add, Your Worship?
I do. I have two this evening. The first one is I'd like to see if we could get a staff report on a gateway to Champlain Huron-Wendat Park. I've heard from multiple people, and then go down Main Street. There's nothing that really signifies Champlain Park is right here. I'd like to look at what are our options to signify. Here's a magnificent park, and here's how you can access this park. So that's my first one I'd like to bring forward if I can, Councillor. I have a second after we do that.
Any comments, concerns? A mover and a seconder for that one? A move, seconder, Councillor Waters, all in favor? That is carried. And you have another one?
I do. My second one is about capital improvements at the arena. So we all know we've put money in a plan and a strategy regarding the MRC, but I still think we need to take care of our existing infrastructure. And I would just like to get an understanding, what does that look like from our staff's perspective? So I hear from users up there right now that the bathrooms aren't great, the showers aren't great, the audio system's not great, the scoreboard's not great. I think there's a number of items, and I'm just saying our answer can't always be, well, there's new incumbents sometime in the future, so deal with it. So I would just like to understand, like, what is the plan? And are we going to put a little bit towards X or Y and Z, just so we're all better informed? And maybe we can say, maybe we should increase capital for assets for this or that. But I don't understand what the plan is. So I'd just like to understand a little bit of a roadmap on what is the intentions with the arena. So I'd like to move that. I think staff, I've talked to the CEO, I think they know, but that's kind of what I'm looking for. If I can move that, please, Councillor.
Well, this is, do you want to add to the referral? Yeah. And do you have a mover and a seconder or anyone? And Councillor Marchand, second. All those in favor? And that is carried. Thank you. Anyone further? No. So then we will go back onto that the Recreation Community Service section endorsed the following additional and existing referrals to upcoming agendas and staff, and those added to. All in favor? And carried. Thank you. Moving on to question period. Public or no? Thank you. Back to you, Your Worship.
Thank you very much, Councillor Leroux. Moving on to 8, Section C, Planning Community Development Services section. You turn the chair to Councillor DeRush, please.
Thank you very much. The Planning Community Development Services has one consent agenda, and it is regarding the zoning bylaw amendment application for 106 Robert Street West. Does anyone have any questions regarding this item? Yes, Deputy Mayor LaRose.
Just one. Thank you, Madam Chair. For the most part, I don't have a problem with 106 Robert Street, but I do have it with the parking. If we're considering making 6 units and we're only going to supply 7 parking spaces, most people have 1 car. A lot of people have 2 cars. I look at that section of Robert Street West, and there is no off-street parking there. So I do have an issue with that.
Thank you with those comments. Anyone else have any comments? Seeing none, I will read the motion then that the following consent agenda items having been given due consideration be received for information. Can I get a mover and a seconder, please? Moved by Councillor Marchand, seconded by Councillor Wedemalker. We'll go to the vote. All in favor? Opposed? The motion is carried. We now have 2 matters for consideration, and the first is the application to repeal Heritage Designation Bylaw 2025-20 regarding 21 Peel Street. I'm assuming everybody did read this item. Does anyone have any questions regarding this? Okay, we'll take your comments, Mayor Rawson.
Thank you. Council, this application came forward from the landowner to the municipality, reached out to our planner, Owen Taylor, and I appreciate it as guidance with the landowner on proceeding with this process. If you read the correspondence that came forward, I think this is just a circumstance that occurred. So literally, property was purchased, I believe March 27th. Our notice period went up on April the 1st. And they said they didn't see the posting, they didn't see the notice. I have a hard time to believe that you didn't know. Like, I truly believe you had a hard time not understanding the notice period and what was done, and no one told the left hand didn't tell the right. I have a hard time with that. But when this, I believe there were 6 applications that came before council when we looked at the heritage properties, and we had objections, I believe, from 2, and our council did not support the 2 that the owners objected to. If this was before us last time, and they were the owner literally the month before, the 2 months before, I would argue they probably would have appealed at that same time, and I argue we probably would have supported that. I think this is just a circumstance of a matter of days. Again, I don't truly believe this 4-day did knows at play, but there was a change in ownership in that same time frame. I just think that's something to be mindful of. I also want to just state that, you know, the position of the applicant is about providing more housing, and they've talked about that's their sole purpose here, and how we're adding to the cost and the time and the expense and the burden to create more housing. We do know that's a provincial priority, and we do know as a local council our objective is to not create more roadblocks and make the process more burdensome. Staff report did say that they believe it won't be, but I'm just going by what the applicant's telling us. They're telling us it will be. And all I'm saying is if this would have been appealed at the same time, they would have objected. If history dictates, we probably would have heard that when that came forward. So for that circumstance, I just want everyone to hear and see kind of what I saw in that transmission of communication. Thank you.
Thank you for those comments. Do we have any other comments from anyone? I would just like to note that the town of Penetanguishene prides itself in its deep-rooted and its great cultural significance. And if we begin to give permission to folks to opt out of designations, we're going to slowly but surely see all of our cultural significances disappear. And we won't be able to quote that in a strategic plan moving forward. So I hope that council thinks a lot about these decisions that we make, because they are long-lasting and they can't be taken back. So so I'd like to just make those comments. Thank you. Seeing no one else, we'll read the motion that the application to repeal bylaw 2025-20 designating 21 Peel Street under Section 29, Part 4 of the Ontario Heritage Act be refused. Can I get a mover for that, please? Moved by Councillor Marchand, seconded by Councillor Vaudreuil-Moncur. Any comments before we vote? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed? The motion is carried. The next item is the development deposits policy. And I'm sure that you did read the policy. Are there any questions for our director on this matter? Seeing none, I'll read the motion that the development deposit policy, PD-2025-01, be approved in accordance with staff report PL-2025-39. Can I get a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Leroux, seconded by Deputy Mayor LaRose. All in favor? Opposed? The motion is carried. For the referrals, we just have the one referral on docket, and it is regarding 161 Church Street. Do we have anyone wishing to add to this list? Seeing none, that the Planning and Community Development Services section endorse the following additional existing referrals to the upcoming agendas and staff, and that is 161 Church Street, and it's regarding options for future use, including parkland and other options. Can I get a mover, please? Moved by Deputy Mayor LaRose, seconded by Councillor Waters. We will go to the vote. All in favor? Opposed? And the motion is carried. Well, I don't believe we have any questions from the media and public, so I'll send them back to you, Mayor Rawson.
Thank you very much, Councillor Darush. 9, Section D, Finance and Corporate Services section. And turn the chair to Councillor Marchand, please.
Thank you very much, Your Worship. So under the consent agenda items for Finance and Corporate Services, we have 3 items. Before I read those 3 consent agenda items, does anybody have any comments or questions or wish to pull anything? Your Worship, go ahead.
I just want to comment on 9B for the thoroughness of this report. I think it was very well done. So thank you to Ms. McClellan. Thank you for pulling that together. Councillor Vadabonker did talk about that in the consent CIP this evening. I think there might have been some learning for us about the benefits and how that really benefits the community. So just a lot of appreciation for this. And again, thank you, Megan, for pulling this together. I do know that there's a lot of work and energy and time that's put forth for this. And, you know, this is all about helping grow communities, supporting the charities that do the great work in our community. But that doesn't come without a cost, and the cost is expertise and time on our staff's part to do that. And it's really about meeting these requirements, these regulations, and all about customer experience and what that entails. So thank you, Megan, for the report. I thought it was very well done, very well outlined. And I think this is another good news story for the community, just to really highlight what Councillor Vadabonker talked about during the CIP. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much. I would just add to that, that was certainly something that we talked about in section, and just I think we were happy and almost, I was a little bit surprised too, just to see the sheer amount of dollars that are raised and that go directly back into our community, and ensuring that the work that is done from a licensing perspective and reporting, that we're also covered from, it's not a burden or it's not a financial burden for the municipality to continue to support that as well. So that's well funded. So would echo the report was really good. And when we did see that letter, it is really good news and positive for our community as well. Any other comments or questions from members of council on the consent agenda items? Seeing none, I'm going to put the motion on the floor that the following consent agenda items, having been given due consideration, be received for information. If I can get a mover, Councillor Waters, seconder, Councillor Durush. All those in favor? Opposed? That motion carries. Thank you. For matters under consideration, the first one that we have this evening to discuss is the one item is the 2026 water and wastewater rates and fees. You have the report from staff and also the attachments, and I just will put that on the floor. Is there any comments or questions with regards to the report that is before us this evening? Councillor Vadabonker.
Excuse me. Thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to comment that in reading the report and obviously the information that comes out of this, you know, people may focus on the percentage increase of the water and wastewater rates, and it's as outlined in the report, I believe it's 8.7%, but there's a rationale behind that, and there's a very excellent report that is included in this report that is included as a link. And I would just urge people, if they are interested in the background about how the municipality arrived at that increase, is to review that report. And it's entitled the 2024 Water and Wastewater Long Range Financial Plan. And that plan was developed in accordance with provincial guidelines and Ministry of Conservation, Environment and Parks requirements that water and wastewater services be self-sustaining, in that the rates need to support the ongoing operation and future operation of these services. So I just wanted to point that out, Madam Chair, because I think that report, although it's referred to and linked in the report, it is a valuable background information in terms of how we arrived where we're at. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Vadabonker, and I think you raised a good point. We certainly also had that presentation was provided to us through council, so this shouldn't be a surprise to any of us, because this was certainly outlined in forecast that we would see this coming, and we knew that there would be some increases. But always appreciate the thoroughness of the reports that are provided, certainly to council for our decision making, but a really great point, and thank you for highlighting that. Any other comments or questions from members of council? Seeing none, I'm going to read the motion. That the 2026 water and wastewater rates and fees as outlined in the financial plan be approved as presented and take effect on January 1st, 2026, and that staff bring forward the necessary bylaw amendment for council approval. Can I get a mover? Deputy LaRose, seconder, Councillor Waters. All those in favor? Opposed? That motion carries. Items for upcoming referrals to upcoming agenda and staff. We currently have none. Does anyone have anything that they would like to bring forward at this time? Okay. Did we get that in the recording or should we? Okay. Seeing none, do I have to still read the motion? Okay. That the Finance and Corporate Services section endorse the following existing referrals to upcoming agendas and staff. There are no items. Can I get a mover for the no items? Okay, Councillor Waters, seconded Deputy LaRose. All those in favor? That motion is carried. Any questions from public or the media? Thank you very much. Back to you, Your Worship.
Thank you, Councillor Marcia. Councillor, we're going to look for a motion to adjourn at 8:20 p.m. It's moved by Councillor Drush, second by Councillor Waters. All in favor? And we're adjourned. Councillor, we're going to move right into our special Good evening, Council. We're going to call our special council meeting to order for Wednesday, December the 10th, 2025 at 8:20 p.m. Number 2 is our declaration of pecuniary interest. Any members have council have a declaration of pecuniary interest tonight? See none. Move on to number 3 is our approval of the agenda. We have a motion that reads that the agenda of the special council meeting for December the 10th, 2025 be approved as presented. Moved by the Deputy Mayor, seconded by Councillor Waters. Comments or questions? Seeing none, we'll call for the vote. All in favor? And opposed? That is carried. Council, we have 2 items on the agenda. One's regarding, one is Fuller Avenue Pole Anchor Parcel Expropriation Update, and 5.2 is regarding 58 Church Street Update. Does anybody wish to go into closed session to discuss any one of these matters? Okay, see none. So the first item, Council, 5.1, we do have a report from staff. That was an update, so it's an update memo for you. The second item, again, is regarding 58 Church Street. You have the report. There won't be any questions because we're in open session. I'll turn to the CEO. The report did have 2 options, Mr. CEO. And we would traditionally come back and say with or without a report. So I suspect we're going to move a motion with a report. Would it help if I just said we're going to go with option X and that would be the motion that we'd be voting on with a report?
Thanks, Your Worship. Sorry, the clerk and I were just kibitzing here a little bit. I think you can reference for staff to proceed as recommended in the staff report.
Okay. Council, so you have the report. The CEO is mentioning to you as the staff recommendation that was within that report. The motion is going to read that the council proceed with the report as per the staff recommendation within the report. Again, there's no opportunity for questions right now. We're in open session. I'm going to look for a mover for that. So just so we're clear, are we all good? So it's a staff report. The staff recommendation is what we're moving. And we're saying it's with the report. So imagine we're in closed session. We came out of closed session and we're moving the with a report. Then the report is what was the staff recommendation. That's the motion that we're voting on right now. Okay? Councillor Vedabunker. Oh, sorry, you moving that? Okay, so I have a mover. I'm going to look for a seconder. Okay. So Deputy Mayor is asking that we move into a closed session regarding second item, right?
Correct.
Okay. So I'm going to I'll move that. I'm just going to see, do we have a seconder that would like to move into closed? Okay. So the motion, Council, is going to read that in accordance with the Town of Penetanguishene Procedural Bylaw 2023-50, the Council of the Town of Penetanguishene move into an in-camera session to discuss a proposed or pending acquisition or disposition of land by the municipality or local board, litigation or potential litigation affecting the municipality or local board, including matters before administrative tribunals. It's moved by the Deputy Mayor. It's seconded by Councillor Marshall. I'll call the vote. All in favor? And opposed, and that's carried. We're going to go in closed session. For council, we're only going to be discussing the second item, 58 Church Street. We'll come out with the report and we'll add clarity what the report means. Okay, here we go. All right, council, thank you. I have a motion that reads that the council of the town of Penetanguishene rise from an in-camera session with the report. I'm going to look for a mover. A mover, Councillor Vadabunker, second by Councillor Marchand. We'll call for the vote. All in favor? And opposed? That is carried. And council, from that closed session, I'm referring to item 5.2, 58 Church Street update. We do have a motion, and the motion reads that the council proceed as directed within the staff report. I'm going to look for a mover, please. Councillor Marchand. Moved by Councillor Marchand, seconded by Councillor Vadabunker. I'm not going to ask for comments and questions because we just did that in closed session. We're going to call for the vote. All in favor? And opposed? That is carried. And we're going to look for a motion to adjourn our third meeting, council, for 2025 at 8:42 p.m. Have a good night, everyone. Thank you again. We're adjourned. Take care.